Pay attention to what you're doing in your life, because your life is right in front of you. Everything you need is right in front of you. Even if you broke, dead broke, it's because you're supposed to be like that. And everything, the people who struggle the most or get it the hardest will succeed in the end. I promise you. You will not have the hardest life forever. Everything will come to you. What you deserve will come to you.
But to catch yourself every single time you have that thought of, I am not good enough, and you flip it to, obviously I'm good enough, not being prioritized. Of how many times have you decided to choose the old story? Just, did you sit there in your own self-pity? Did you sit there talking about how broke you are, how things don't work out, how things...
This idea was born during a therapy session when I was feeling hopeless. So I'm sitting and crying to my therapist. My own logical solution to this that I was trying to discuss with her was, should I just delusionally affirm to myself and convince myself that this will work out the way that I want, so that I trick my mind into thinking that, I'm worthy of it? And I dropped this delusion word here and there throughout the whole conversation. And I was like, yeah, I gotta be delusional in my affirmations and just, convince my mind. Act in a way so that my subconscious thinks that we are already in this positive space. I gotta be delusional. And at the end of my monologue, she was like, girl, why are we calling this delusion? What did this girl say?
Indeed, because repetition dissolves your disbelief. So
yeah, repetition dissolves your disbelief. That's what she said. And I was like, I gotta repetitively convince myself and delusionally create this idea of positive energy around me to be able to, perceive reality in a way. It makes sense. And so I said that to my therapist. She was like, Lisa, why are you calling deserving what you want and your inherent needs a delusional idea? Why is it delusional to wake up every day and believe that you are worthy of taking steps to achieve what you are? Why is it delusional to wake up every day and believe that this is the best day of your life? Why is it delusional to go out there in the world and believe that there is true love? Why is it delusional to believe that when you speak, you are enough, you are worthy of taking up space? Why is it delusional to do this and that if it's literally right there? And so my answer was, let's talk about this. This is like, we just debunked the whole delulu girly culture, whatever it was, because it was a wave at some point, remember? Like, be delusional, and we all ate it up. But I just have a problem with this word. It doesn't sit right with me. Delusion. So because my whole issue is us misusing the word, I came prepared with a written down definition of the word delusion. Delusion is a false belief or a judgment about external reality held despite incontrovertible evidence to the contrary, occurring especially in mental conditions. So to be clear, delusion definitely happens in the mind. It is a mental concept. It is nothing physical. Delusion is like happiness or sadness or depression. It's a mental war. And also, to make sure that we're on the same page with our definition of delusion, let's just say a normal, understandable example of delusion to everyone is holding a ball and calling it a cube and convincing yourself and everyone that it is a cube. That's delusional. Having straight, light hair and truly believing that you have an afro. So as much as these two were normal hee-hee-ha-ha examples, delusional disorders are a thing. People in depressive, delusional, psychotic, dissociative, all of these types of nervous system disorders can be experiencing behaviors that were formed as a result of this tremendous stress over a period of time, which are meant to create a sense of security, safety, stability, and control. You feel unsafe, and your subconscious tries to create a scenario in which you make sure that everything is safe. And by that, you actually feel more unsafe, because in a situation where everything was objectively safe to a healthy person, you create things that you feel are unsafe. For example, you choke on something and you have a whole panic attack because you feel like you just died. Or, you might just have a very intense headache and you convince yourself that it's a brain tumor. Or you feel like you're being observed and everyone is after you, because the whole world, the whole concept of this existence is so overwhelming and heavy that you feel like the best way to protect yourself is to expect danger everywhere and from everyone, so you stop trusting everyone around you and you feel like everyone is out there to get you. So these are delusions that are bizarre, that are not understandable to everyone, but this is the type of delusion that we're talking about. It's still the same mental concept of believing in something that isn't objectively true. Okay, now that we have this boring part out of the way, the definition, the explanation, and we're on the same page with the word delusion, let's come back to my therapy session. So basically, this is a little story time. Let's get comfortable. Let's talk about what happened. I'm not going to tell you anything in detail. The whole thing was, I was in a negative thinking loop. I couldn't get out of believing that my life is miserable. And it's so easy with a very fast-paced mind. It's so incredibly easy to just observe everything and everyone around you and just fall. As long as you get back up, you know? So as a way of helping myself get back up, I talked to someone about this and I explained to her that I'm spiraling in this mindset. And so as I told you before, I kind of suggest a solution to this myself in order to like see her reaction, what she thinks about this as a specialist. And I'm like, okay, so I guess with all the pain and suffering I'm actually truly feeling right now and how I view my life and my reality and my, current situation, I feel like the answer to this would be delusionally creating thoughts and ideas and looking at myself in the mirror and, convincing myself that it is this way and not this way. And I literally used the word delusion in every sentence there. I was like, okay, I'll delusionally tell myself that I will get there. I will delusionally tell myself that I will achieve this. And I usually don't have problems with this. I've told you before. I'm very delusional in like creating scenarios. I know I'm going to be great. I understand the potential I hold. I know the talent. I know who I I don't have problems with this. But sometimes everyone just folds under this wave of sadness and just I literally talk about this right now and I feel my heart just dropping for no reason. Like everyone holds to some type of weight in their life, and sometimes this weight manifests as just completely discrediting everything you've ever done, any progress, any achievements, any new skills or any wins. You just completely forget about it and you cancel out your entire identity. It almost can feel like a little flashback to the past, back to the times when you were a little child and you were hurt, or back to the times when you were very confused and trying to find the first pathway to, millions of other pathways that led you to where you are right now. You just subconsciously come back to this old person who was completely lost, and it might feel like this again. It might completely zero you out to this stage of like, yeah, I did nothing. All of this time was for nothing. I'm still there. Mentally, it's all the same. And it hurts so much. But it's just because you haven't been able to appreciate and be present and be grateful and actually respect yourself and congratulate yourself for achieving, and facing fears, overcoming challenges. All of this needs to be so deeply appreciated. You need to be so sensitive, so graceful with yourself, in order to not get trapped in this it's the same. It's so not the same. Anyways, so I'm telling her this. The whole thing was in me trying to get out of a negative loop. It's not me trying to shoot for the stars because I can do that. I can do that, okay? I believe in my dreams and goals because I've seen them happen. But the whole thing was more in like what happened to Lisa? What is going on? I wake up with a feeling like something is wrong and I need to fix it. What is this wrong? Like where did the wrong come from? Why am I so unhappy? She was like, I get it, but delusion is not the answer. She was like, why do you call this delusion? My answer to that was very quick. Imagine a person who is very sad and anything positive seems so distant and so not attached to where they are right now that it seems like a different reality. Basically what we talked about. I'm holding a ball, so calling a cube a ball is delusional to me. I'm so convinced that this is my reality that calling it anything else would be delusion. Like convincing myself that it can be or should be or will be anything else is delusional. And I said this. I also said, I understand the non-dualistic nature of reality. What hurts me the most is the fact that me even delusionally convincing myself that everything is positive, trying to hype myself up and be better and, just fix my negative thinking into positive by repetition, hurts me even more because I understand the objectivity of reality. I would say I'm a realist. I remember even in 6th grade, I'm gonna come back to this. I'm losing this thought as we speak. In this 6th grade, I was in Poznan. It was my first Polish city we ever moved to, and it was my first Polish school. I was like getting to know people and you know, not being shy, but being very cautious in my environment, still trying to learn the language and everything. Everything was so new. And I remember these two girls asking me, what was I, like 10? The basketball class, whatever. And they're asking me, are you a realist, a pessimist, or an optimist? And I'm like, what are these words? What are you talking about? So I had to come back home and research what this meant. And I then realized I was a realist. I remember, this is a flashback. This is just a little tiny story. And it is still true to me. But what I've understood since then is that the line between pessimist and realist is so thin if you're a pessimist. And the line between a realist and an optimist is so thin if you are an optimist. Realist is actually not real, as well as objective reality is actually not real, because it is the center. It's almost invisible. It's either you are this or that. It's one pill or the other. You cannot serve two gods, you know what I mean? I guess someone said it's one of the best questions to ask on a first date, if I ever went to one. Are you a happy person with sad moments, or are you a sad person with happy moments? And again, I feel like I'm a sad person with happy moments. Everything is so fast and everything requires from you to be fast. I'm just blaming it on the phone, honestly. Let's not even over externalize my attention and power, because I can take it back at any given moment. But I'm just saying that I've noticed that I'm more leaning into the realist being pessimist and a sad person with happy moments than anything else. Let's come back to that delusion thing. I feel like I'm saying that being happy is delusional, is the stars that I'm shooting for. Because I've lived in this belief that reality is objective. And even if I tell myself that it's negative, it is delusional, because it's leaning to one side from the objective reality. It's still viewing reality as something that it isn't, which creates a different one. Just as much as believing that something is and will be positive is delusional, because it's leaning to the other side of the objective reality, you know? We're kind of creating a different one. It's still not this one. We're not viewing it for what it is, which is nothing. You know, I don't know. I guess nihilism hit me when I was 10. I was like, I'm a realist, girls. What are you talking about? What is optimism? And then I understood all of these corny quotes from Instagram, all of these weird edits of all the successful people telling you to be delusional. It's actually not to be delusional. It's just to step out of the comfort zone of a nihilistic loop of viewing reality for what it is. And I guess it's also with me just, kind of understanding myself and my place in this world, and just, trying to see things from a very objective perspective, not to get lost. I was trying to float over everything and see everything for what it is. So I saw very sad people be delusional in their sadness, and I saw very happy people be delusional in their happiness. And I was just floating somewhere in the middle, very desperately trying to get delusionally happy while being in the delusion of unhappiness, because I've already had what I needed all of this time, which was just my mind and my attention that I can choose to direct in one or other way. I guess what I understood is this balance of being intentional with your attention and creating direction for your thoughts and actions shouldn't be called delusion in any way. Because if we're calling any kind of actions delusions, or delusional thinking, or delusional ideas, or delusional dreams, we're automatically discrediting their value. You are saying that this doesn't align with the reality. Delusionally happy and optimistic about the outcome. You're saying that the outcome doesn't match where you're going. You're saying that you are in a dream, in a delusion. You are psychotic about it. You are thinking crazy. If the goal is positive mindset, if the goal is getting the money, if the goal is getting into the relationship, normalizing this idea in your mind is what creating it your reality is. It's not being delusional about getting there. It's not calling it, a delusion. Like, I just don't understand how we got into a position where we call things that are normal, things that should be in our life, our goals, our dreams, delusions. It's just not the right word to use when you're trying to achieve something, when you're trying to get there. If you want to get a Grammy, it's not delusion, it's a plan. It is not crazy because it's not matching your reality right now. Because, you have to step out of the objective truth into something, and it will be called delusion. But in order to get your mind to think that you have it, you shouldn't call it delusion. You should just have it. You should just make a plan and steps and follow them. Yeah, that's the whole point, I guess. So I'm working on the positive mindset. I'm clearly at stage 1 again. Back to 0, back to the roots. I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am rich. I'm just kidding. It all comes back full circle. Then the cycle ends and something new begins. So it's all good. Flow with it, whatever you're feeling, it's okay. You're not delusional, you just want to be happy. And that's normal. That's your birthright. To be happy, to be at peace, to be loved. What actually creating this thing is making yourself feel some type of way. Bathe yourself in this intense feeling of worthiness, of having something, of being inherently worthy of it, being it, being born to have it, existing in the presence of it. Because it's not delusion, it is your objective reality. The whole concept of the objective reality is that it can be anything, because it's nothing.